This week we have another double Parsha with the Parshas of Behar and Bechukosai, which are the 32nd and 33rd Torah portions or Parshas of the Torah, and the 9th and 10th chapters or Parshas in the book of Leviticus. These are also the final chapters in the book of Leviticus, ending the third book of the Torah, where next week we will begin the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers, which is the fourth book out of the 5 books of the Torah. And in this week's Parsha, we learn the laws of Shemitah, the laws of the Sabbatical year. Now, the Sabbatical year was something that was observed by the farmers in the land of Israel. Essentially, the farmers in the land would work the land for 6 years. They would do their harvest, they would sell their produce, they would continue to work the land for 6 years, and then in the 7th year, it would be a year of rest. During this year of rest, they were not allowed to work the land. They had to let the land rest, and they weren't allowed to sell their produce. They just had to make it a year of complete rest. During this year, whatever produce grows or is available on their land is open to all of the other people, and it's open to all animals for their personal use as well. So it was very interesting because what would have to happen is these farmers would have to work very hard for 6 years in order so that they could rest for the 7th year, where nothing would be coming in. There would be sort of no income, no new resources. But even more so, they have to have enough of a supply and enough preparation to be prepared for 3 years without new sort of income, new harvest, because it wasn't just the sabbatical year that would be a year where they wouldn't have any produce, but then there would be 2 additional years when they would have to plant new seeds and prepare the land for the next time that they could be available for a harvest. So it ended up being 3 years without really anything new coming their way. So it was quite interesting. There are a lot of parallels between the sabbatical year and Shabbat, obviously, with working for 6 days and resting on the 7th day, which is Shabbat. And so it is a reminder of Shabbat in the sense of all of our work success comes from God. We work for this period of time just like Hashem made the world in 6 days also and rested on the 7th, and then we let the land rest. It also goes to show that this land is land that Hashem gave to us. It's land that Hashem is in control of. This is not land that is ours, that we own, that really belongs to us. And we see this even more so because we also get the laws of the Jubilee year, which is after 7 cycles of Shemitah, after 7 cycles of sabbatical years, so 49 years, the Jewish people had to do another year, the Jubilee year, the 50th year, where it was also a year of rest for the land. During the Jubilee year, all of the land would be returned to its ancestral owners, meaning that in biblical times, the land was divided up in the Torah between the 12 tribes, and each tribe was given a section of land. And within that, there were initial owners of each of these segments of land. And those were things that Hashem designated, that this piece of land should belong to this person, or this piece of land should belong to this tribe. And so during the Jubilee year, the land is returned to those sort of original designations, which goes to show again that the land really isn't ours, that it's something that's been gifted to us for a period of time, but we can't own land that belongs to Hashem, that belongs to God. What we can come to learn from the sabbatical year and from the Jubilee year is how much faith we have to have in Hashem, that He is going to provide for our needs, and that really what we have we should attribute to Him and recognize that it comes from Him. Because when you look at all of the things that have to go right in order to have enough resources that you can rest the land for a whole year, wait another 2 years while the land is redeveloping its crop in order to be able to sell in that 3rd year, you really have to have a lot of faith that you're going to have enough, that what you have produced in those 6 years was sufficient to provide for you and for your family for the next several years. And just to have that sort of faith, we're in a sort of precarious, unseen time right now where a lot of people can be struggling financially or could be struggling in many aspects of their life, but just sort of having the faith that Hashem will continue to provide for us, that even like for those farmers where there was those 3 years where they weren't taking in sort of new resources, that it is a temporary thing, and that we will be returned to a time where we will be flourishing and we will be thriving, and there will be sort of this new crop, this new harvest. So I hope each of you has a wonderful week ahead and a Shabbat Shalom.